Hello, welcome my beautiful ladies, it's Peaceful Paradise 7, and today we're gonna discuss the qualities of men that are usually overlooked by women. As much as we all want men who are very powerful, who look the part, who has maybe like expensive clothing and stuff and watches and cars and few other bits and pieces, we can't forget that there are a lot of more qualities that we need to look for in order to have happy and fulfilling and long-lasting relationship. Matthew Hussein used to say that chemistry starts the fire, but it's the character that keeps the relationship alive. And as much as I'm not the biggest fan of Matthew, okay, for quite a lot of reasons, he was right, okay? It's definitely spot on that if we just want to look on that first chemistry point, and if we just want to look on the fact that we feel comfortable right here and now, or maybe you are just lonely and you're just missing somebody and you're allowing any sort of man to come into your life, then that's a big mistake. So let's focus on what exactly we need to look for. The sad story is that a lot of women, they go into relationship without thinking twice, without actually stopping yourself and think like, is that a good partner for the rest of my life? Or is he just here for now because it's convenient for him, you know, he give me a bit of pleasure and I give him some pleasure, and that's literally where the relationship is. If I interview my friends, guys, okay, let's say she would just introduce me to the man that she's with, or they've just been seeing each other for a few months or so, and when I ask him what's the next step and what's, you know, how do you see your life, he just can't tell me. He's like, you know, I'm doing this, I don't know, let's see what the day brings and whatnot. If he's not giving me the right answer, that's a big, huge no to me, okay? Because any man should know where he's heading at. The very sad thing is happening when a woman is getting into the relationship, not really having everything sorted in her head, when she just wanna play along, when she doesn't have any goals where that relationship should be, and he can feel that, like the man can sense it, and he just gonna string you along for as long as he can. If you have the clear goals of, I need a ring, I want to get married, I want to have kids, I want to live together, I don't want to do this before doing that, then he will appreciate that much more, because he knows that you're serious about your life and where this is heading. So if you just met someone and he has like quite a good few qualities that maybe you're like, okay, maybe he's that, but he doesn't have something else, then just watch and wait until you're gonna accept him to your life. The first quality of a man that it's very that's very often overlooked is his willingness to grow and his humbleness. I've seen a lot of men who has such a big ego and they just can't admit that they've made mistake. If you're seeing someone who pretends that he's always right, who don't appreciate you as a person and don't appreciate you, like what you can bring to his life, because he feels like he's always right, and therefore you're just not as brave and you are just not as smart as him, and you're just always less than him, and he treats you and other people in the same way, I would say this isn't the best quality. The man who know how to say, I'm sorry, I was wrong, a man who knows that he's not always right, and he knows that he has a lot of room to improve for improvements, he is the one who will want to grow with you. So you can both learn life without dismissing one another. There is a really beautiful quote on Don Miguel, and I think it was the Four Agreement book. He said, respect is love in action. And a man who respects his own growth will respect yours too. Point number 2 is consistency in action. So rather than respecting a man who will just do one right thing and that's it, and then you have to wait months for the next good thing to happen, he will be very consistent in his action. So when we're talking about men that provide, it's also about consistency, because men are definitely more consistent than women. We have our days, we have our phases, we have our periods, we have our feelings, and we are not as consistent human beings as men are. And and this is the truth. So if a man is like, oh, I'm not feeling this today, I'm not feeling that, and oh, I just changed my mind just because I wanted to, and he has all this feminine emotions in him, then maybe he's not the right choice. A man who is consistent will always provide his time, his money, his effort, and you wouldn't have to ask twice. If he says, I call you, he will call you. If there is anything, if anything happens that he just can't for any reason, he will either text you, he will ring you beforehand, he will let you know, he will apologize. You will know where you stand with him. If he says that he will be there, he should be there. If this is just about the date and he's not showing up, or he says he's gonna call you and he won't, if he said he's gonna do something for you and he is just not willing anymore, he's not a consistent person. So I always say, don't chase a man who will give you one rose. Wait for the one who will give you the entire garden of roses. Number 3 is respect for boundaries. And a lot of the time you will also see that with the consistent man. If a man is consistent and he pretty much knows what he wants in life, and he has eyes on you, he will respect your boundaries. A lot of the times he should respect boundaries of all the people, but I've noticed that sometimes if a woman is not respecting herself, he can be a great guy, but he will also try to take more than he's supposed to. But if you show your boundaries to him, and if you clearly communicate them, and if you have that energy within you, like sometimes you don't have to say anything out loud, he will just feel it. He should respect your decisions and your opinions. And if he doesn't, if he's constantly trying to push and talk you into something, and just don't care about how you feel and don't care about your sense of respect and your environment and your boundaries and what you can actually accept and what you are not willing to accept, what you feel comfortable with, what you don't, then he's not the right person, definitely not for you. The obvious example is the intimacy. If he's longing for intimacy more than you are, and you just say no, he's pushing for it, he's asking for it, he's trying to push that boundary a bit more, he's trying, to touch you, to do this, and you just don't feel comfortable with it, then he's not the guy for you, because that just shows that he doesn't have this respect. And I also say that if he's not willing to wait for you and he's not willing to respect your boundaries, then let him go. Like, don't be afraid that he goes, because if he goes, then you have all the time and space for the better person. Number 4 is kindness. I love this one, because a lot of the times women, we want the bad guys. We want the ones who are not as nice, who are not as kind, who are the, just like the bad guys that we want to change. And this is very psychologically true. Women, they love the bad guys, and also men, they love bitches. It's just how it is. And I'm not gonna go deeper into why, but as long as you understand that and as long as you know about it, you can correct your actions. So correct your actions to the kind ones, okay? Put your eyes on the ones that are kind to you, that are kind to your family, they're kind to strangers, they're kind to friends, they are willing to help, they have a bigger vision for themselves, rather than treating you badly or somebody else badly or trying to be better than other people. When it comes to me, I could never understand that, and I always, I was never really attracted to any of those. For me, man needs to be a good person. Since I was little, I remember that moment, we were very young, and my neighbor helped a very small child, we were just playing on the street, and there was a child, she was really small, and I think her pants sort of slipped. I can't remember exactly what happened, and all the other kids, they were just laughing at her, and he was the only one who would come to her and put her pants right and just cuddle her, or whatever he did. he did right thing. Rather than laughing, he helped. This is part of the character that's possibly very hard to change, because you're either kind or you're not. In my past, I also had a friend, like he used to be my friend, then we lost contact for many years, and when we were adults, we got contact with each other again, and I've noticed how bad he was treating other people. Like, I was his queen, but to everybody else he was just a nasty boy, and I let him know very clearly that I don't respect that and I don't like that. Because if he was rude to his mother, if he was rude to the friends, if he was rude to everybody else, then it was just a matter of time when he would be rude to me. Just because he was fine with me for the last 5 minutes, I knew that as soon as I'm gonna upset him, he will just show me that nasty face. And let's be kind, okay? Let's be kind to cleaners, to taxi drivers, to people, to waitress, to everybody who's doing their own job. Be kind to those people. That's my values. Number 5, responsibility with money. When a man is responsible with his money, he doesn't have to be a millionaire. He doesn't have to have 7 or 10 houses and 10 cars. You just have to let him to manage his own money, and you just have to let him to show you how he does it. So, for example, my husband, he will not buy a lot of like different things that are very important to other people. So, for example, men that love to dress to impress, they love to buy a lot of different shoes and spend money on their clothing, yet by the end of the month they are broke. What does it tell me? Well, it just tells me that he's not the one. When a man is good with his money, when he can budget, you can survive even on one income. And he doesn't necessarily have to make millions, okay? He doesn't have to be a millionaire. He doesn't have to have like prestige job. He can just work in a normal place, in a normal environment. Even when you have your own house and he's budgeting right, then you can survive. A lot of rich people who have fancy cars and fancy clothing, and you can be like, wow, look at them, look at the Instagram and look at the post, and they always traveling, they always doing nice things. But when you look on the bank account, they're not just broke, they're in debts. Therefore, the smart men know, the quality men know, it's not about how they look to the external world, it's about their own bank account, it's about their own trust in themselves, and about paying bills on time. If a man has issue with paying bills on time, he's struggling to pay for basic necessities, wow, huge flag, a red flag. Number six, protectiveness. If he can protect you but not be over controlled. We can see that a lot, even in the small gestures and small tasks and small talk. He doesn't have to really like organize your calendar and make sure like he knows everything, because that's a bit too much sometimes. But when he can just protect you by knowing where you are, by making sure you're safe, but making sure that your car is safe to drive, you can just feel that somebody wants to protect you. That doesn't mean that he wants to put you inside the cage, gold cage, and have the key to it and just be the one who's talking to you. That's over controlling. But he has this nice security in him. He's like secure enough not to be jealous all the time by the fact that you talk to other people. And I love that. When it comes to my husband, he gives me a lot of security. He always wants to make sure that I'm secure and protected. He doesn't allow me to do things that I would hurt myself. He would rather do it himself. But he always have this non-toxic jealousy. So if it's late, he wouldn't allow you to walk by yourself. He would offer to drop you if he's the one driving. Even when I and my husband, when we walk down the street and there is like quite busy road, he will always ask me to go on the left, on his left, so he can be, next to the traffic. And I always laugh because I don't want you to die, but it's always like this, and he always asks me to go to the left. So you will see, and you will feel that he is very protected over you. And number 7 is when he supports your dreams and doesn't feel small. And I mean, any sort of a man, any man who lives on this planet Earth, he will want to make more money than you, and he will want to feel like he is the greatest ever king, okay? So that's normal. But a lot of the times when you advance to the next level, when you grow a bit, when you want to change something, he just doesn't feel comfortable with that, and he will try to put you down. It works like this with people, with your family, but even with your partners as well. A healthy man will allow you to have your dreams. He will be glad that you exploring the new options. He will be happy that you have your own goals. He will be happy and supportive that you do you and that you can grow. He will not be terrified by your growth. He will encourage you to do better. Even if he's the most protective and providing and the most supportive, loving man on this planet Earth, when you're gonna start to make a lot more money than him, he will start to feel a bit wobbly. Maybe not threatened, but he will start to feel a bit uncomfortable. And that's normal. Like, you can't do anything about it, he can't do anything about it. He just need to go over that, and he, you know, that's his job to do. You can't change that. You can't make anything. You can't talk about it. You can't talk to him about it. Like, you just shouldn't do it. Just leave that be, and he should get that straight inside himself. Maybe he's gonna start to work more. Maybe he will try to change his job, so he's gonna start to make a bit more money. But any healthy man, he will try not to compete with you, but he will try to make sure that he's gonna stay as a provider for the family. Number 8 is when he's mature to have a fight. So maturity in conflict, and that's something that we are sort of learning that as well as human beings. Nobody is perfect. So when it comes to having fights, and every healthy couple will have some fights in their lifetime, he will try to resolve it, or he will try not to have the fight, rather than always fighting and always pushing your buttons and then always being mad on you. You know, all of the things that I just said, they're more like feminine nature. We love to overdo. We love to talk about the problems because that's how we want to solve the problems. That's how we feel better about the problem, and that's how we feel like we're getting more to the resolution. Where men, majority of the times, they will shut down. They do not want to talk about the same thing all the time. For them, it's done, okay? One word, it's done. It's done and dusted. A very healthy man will start the conversation, and he will start, maybe not the argument, but he will start the conversation in order to get to the bottom of the problem. A man who is not quite there, you will feel like he wants to solve it, he just doesn't know how. Because of his emotion, because the way how he was treated in his house, and the way the parents taught him, and you know, the way he saw the way they grew up, that's the skills that we get in. So if you grew up in a very healthy family and healthy home, and you know exactly how to communicate your problems, then that's great. But then if you would be a great communicator, you wouldn't meet someone who is not a great communicator. You would get someone who just knows exactly what to do as well. So if you have a man who is just not quite there yet, you know that you have something to work on as well. But instead of overreacting, he would say something like, okay, I get you're angry, help me to understand why. He will try to get to the bottom of that problem. The next one is, I think it's number 10 or something, I've lost count. The next one is reliability and integrity. So the second one, let's start with the second one. The second one is that he doesn't change when other people don't watch. Many months ago, I've spoken to a lady who told me her life story, and she said that she used to be in a relationship where man was great when it comes to outside. Also, when it comes to the rest of the world, he was showing his great face and everybody was like so in love with him. As soon as they were together, he was not nice to her, he was humiliating her, he was saying very nasty words, and you know what I'm talking about. And she was in that relationship for quite a while, and I just don't want that to happen to anyone. You have to see very early, as soon as possible, whether he's playing or whether he's a genuine person. So when you're gonna be together, there's nobody else watching, how does he treating you? Is he treating you good? Is he treating you bad? Because if he's really bad to you, then leave. That's not the man that you want to be. And sometimes we are like triggered by that. We are like, why he's so good to the outside and he's so bad to me? And this is manipulation. Like, he sees that you're not going anywhere and he can do whatever the hell he wants, and you starting to disbelieve yourself and downgrading yourself and your own value. You feel like, oh, maybe this is me problem, maybe he doesn't treat me well because I'm just not good enough, and you're trying to do even more towards him and for him. And this is like a close cycle, because the more you're trying to do towards him and for him, he will shut down even more and he will start to treat you even worse than he is now. So there needs to be consistency in his actions, and if he's good towards other people, he needs to be good towards you, and if he's good in front of other people, he needs to be bloody fantastic when you two together. And the first one is about the fact that he is there when you need him. Not just when you meet and the first date and second date, but even later. Many stories comes to my head. And let's say that you feel bad and you're in the bed and you just feel like you can't move your finger. Will he give you a tea? Will he bring you a cup of coffee? Or whatever the hell you need, a medicine? Or he would just pretend that he's busy and he's not there and he just can't help you. Like, that's very important too. I think there was a situation when I was very ill and we lived like an hour away from each other. My husband would drive all this way. He would ask me, what do you need? I bring you medicines, I bring you water, I bring you food, I bring you anything you want, you just tell me. And even though I said, no, it's fine, he will still come and give me anything that I wanted. So if you are sick, he will bring you soap, even if you live like an hour away from each other. If you are not feeling well, rather than not talking to you for a week because you're feeling unwell, he should ask you, what do you need? Do you want me to bring you medicines? Do you want me to come and play with your dog? Or do you want me to take your dog outside? Or do you need help with your kids if you have them? Like, you name it, anything. He's supposed to try to help you. Next one is self-discipline. So he has this self-discipline to say no when he's supposed to be saying no. And again, this is work in progress. We all have the moments when we say yes, but we should say no. Of course, we are just human beings. Men are human beings and we are as well. But let's say if he can't say no to alcohol constantly every single day, and he's like, oh, I just don't have self-discipline, like, this is not okay. He needs to have self-discipline to go to work, to not drinking excessively, to not smoking excessively, to not taking cigarettes, to be able to be a good father and good husband. Self-discipline is mandatory to have. And next one is good reputation. And this is not super important, but just so you know that when you're in the dating stage and he takes you to friends and people who are very disrespectful towards him, that is not a good sign. Usually, if a man, especially when you're dating, and if a man wants to show his best, his best self and has his best side, he will take you to people that he trusts and people that have that respect towards him. Even if it's going to be family, friends, you will see and you will feel that people respect him, the way they speaking to him, the way they communicating, the way they communicate to you, because he knows that you want to be in the place and environment when people treat you with respect. And that's why I'm saying that what others say about him, it does matter. His friends respect him, his family respects him, even his coworker respects him in a way. then that's a beautiful place to be. The last one, but not the least one, is when he's being gentle. Gentleness. When he's being gentle to animals, when he's being gentle to children, or to like older people. You can easily see that when he's next to like cat or dogs or small children. Is he gonna smile to them? Is he gonna pretend like, you know, oh no, children, no, not for me? Because if that's what he does, then you know that you won't be able to make family with him. Any good quality man will have this love towards other people, towards children, towards older people. You know, like my husband helped with my dad when he had a stroke tremendously. He never said a bad word to him or about him. He was honest because I'm honest about my family as well. But that was a massive help. And if you wouldn't have that respect towards people who are just less privileged, then what if you're gonna get into that position? Or what if your family member will be in that position? Oh, the last one I want to say is the stability. Is how stable he is in his life. I have met some men and some friends men that were just definitely not there when it comes to his life. They're still trying to figure everything out, and the woman would just accept them who they are and where they are because they're maybe amazing, because God knows what the reason. And always I've seen that this doesn't work. If a man has his life together, and I'm not talking that he needs to be a millionaire, I'm not talking that he needs to be a doctor, and that he needs to have bloody everything sorted. I'm just talking about the basic stuff. For example, if he lives with his ex-wife still, he still didn't move out, or if he lives with his ex-girlfriend or his mother's girlfriend, the ex-mother's girlfriend, or he's still renting a room in like very dodgy area, or he sleeps on his mother's couch, like you name it. When you see a man environment, then that's where you need to decide, is he a good person for me? Like, is he a good material? Is he a good husband material? Are we gonna be happy? But this is super important, because if he is struggling by himself, how do you want him to not struggle with you? I would say let him be. Politely, respectfully say, you know, I appreciate that you're trying to get back on track, you're trying to get on with your life, but maybe we're just not ready for this yet. And let him go, rather than trying to get him out of his mess or trying to help him so much. You know, we're women, we try to be the heroes to the situation, and we try to open the academy where this is really not necessary, okay? Men are fine, they're fine on their own, and if he wants to figure something out, he will. He doesn't need your bloody help when you're not even together, just because you kind of fell in love with him because he told you one nice line, okay? I think that's it. That's it for now, and I will see you in the next video when we're gonna talk maybe a bit more about that, or maybe about something else. We'll see. Love you. Bye.